let's talk real clear politics. Now, am I a progressive? Perhaps, but I'm also a realistic person. I'm a pragmatic and practical person. So let's talk about this. Now, we have in America this drastic disparity between the richest and the poorest. And some people are using some numbers to try to downplay this as if it's not really all that bad. You can't change the fact that on what is considered minimum wage in America, $7.25 an hour, working full-time, that's $15,080 a year. It would take you roughly 100,000 years to make $1.5 billion, to make you a billionaire, in other words. 100,000 years. Yet there are some people in America, CEOs, that are billionaires. The Waltons, the people who own Walmart. And we think that's not morally wrong. That's okay. Why? I don't understand that. That's just practical. I mean, if we're going to have a moral society that protects people from threats and dangers, we have police when you get hurt, robbed, or victimized. We have the military to protect us from outside invaders. I would say we need protection from all dangers. Why not? That is just, I'm sorry, if that's disagreeable, that makes me a realistic, practical, pragmatic person. It's just the way I think. If you're going to say you have to protect people from some harm that may exist from an enemy or a criminal, then you should also protect people from other dangers and harms that exist in life and in the world around you. It just is logical to me, and it's moral and ethical, and it's a way I honestly believe. So, yes, there are some income transfers, but let me talk about the practical matter of how many people are out there suffering and who just are not having their needs met, and how that can get lost in this topic of how we don't need to worry about that because there's some money being shifted through Medicare and Medicaid and food stamps to make it all okay. No, it's not working like that. There are a lot of people who, for one thing, are working on greater than a minimum wage and living in homeless shelters or on the streets in wherever they can find shelter while working full-time. That's a fact. You just can't get by. There's still a lot of people that have no insurance at all. Now, in addition, I want to talk about the people I serve. Many of them are served by your tax dollars that go to Medicaid or to people who benefit from what's called state funds. Those are funds that are available for people to receive necessary care, mental health, and other services if they have no insurance at all. This is not a lot of money. This doesn't allow me to connect them with the necessary resources to resolve the crisis situation. And we all want to resolve the crisis situation that got them in contact with my team. So I work on the mobile crisis team at Freedom House. This pittance of money does not serve, in many cases, to resolve the crisis. I am oftentimes, most of the time, I am struck by how little I am able to do and how much needs to be done for people. Indeed, I often wonder how it is possible that the United States cares so little and values so little human lives. Because that's what it seems like. When I have to tell, for example, before the hurricane back in September, at the end of September, I had to tell someone who was incontinent and couldn't get into the shelter because of his incontinence and who had chronic COPD that I couldn't even get him into a homeless shelter, that he had to stay out, and it was getting colder. So as the winter comes in we call another caseworker at the state level, and they tell you, well, he could go to the little area inside the jail where the homeless can go to get inside during really, really cold nights in Burlington, North Carolina. That is not acceptable. That's not valuing human life. And so this great shift of money that's going to come to help him, that's going to take a long time before he can ever qualify. He was even in the hospital finally for medical problems, and we begged them to expedite the process of approving him for Medicaid. That didn't happen. Expedite wouldn't even mean overnight. It wouldn't get him into a nursing home overnight or in the next week. It would only speed up the process. So instead of like waiting a year, it might be a month where you could still die. You could still die in the winter months if you have to wait a month. So this misdirection by pointing to these great income shifts that make it seem okay that we actually don't have this great inequality in America missed the big point of how we're neglecting to protect human life and to value human life. And that is what I see constantly. And it is so frustrating to tell someone there's nothing that can be done. There's no resources I can provide you. That's just one story I gave you about a homeless person. There are other stories like that, where it's just not enough. A student who can't get enough loans to continue her education is another example. You might say, let's blame the progressives. Okay, well, the problem is that when progressives come up with a plan, we would like to do it by consulting social workers. And when they come up with a plan, we need to really fund it fully and appropriately based on the plan. You don't come up with a plan and decide, okay, this plan looks like it might solve the problem. Great idea. We love your ideas. Thank you. But we're going to cut it in half and only spend do a little bit of what you suggested because it's just too expensive, and then blame the progressives for not coming up with a good plan. No, we had a plan, but you then just out of the blue and haphazardly decided it was too much money, and so you just like cut and slash and decided we're just going to chop it in half. I mean, it's like going to the doctor or a dental appointment and finding out the bill is $2,000 and saying, well, I'll give you $1,000. And he said, no, that's not what it costs. It costs more than that. So, yeah, if you're going to do anything at all, do it right. Pay the cost that it costs, or don't pay anything. And if you do that, then don't say you care and say all this money is going to help the low-income people and that we should be happy. We're not happy when it's just done in a random and haphazard way. When you come up with a plan and you start messing it up and coming away with something that's not going to work. Let's be practical. Let's be pragmatic. Let's come up with plans that actually work. When we come up with a plan, consult the experts, consult social workers, macro-level social workers who can do a needs assessment, who can come up with a solution and tell you how it's going to be implemented, and listen to them and let us work on a solution that actually works. And then let's be happy that we've come up with something that works. We're not asking to indiscriminately take away your hard-earned money. We're just saying, trust the experts who know how to come up with plans to address issues in society, and let the experts fix the issues. If it's criminal behavior, let the police solve it. If it's military security from enemies, let the military solve it. If it's problems with survival on the streets and in your homes, food, shelter, and other necessities, let the social workers solve it. Let the experts solve their problems that they're experts at solving. Thank you.